Okay, Adam, would you like to tell me what performer you observed playing rugby? Tell us a little bit maybe about them and then go through their strengths and weaknesses, please.
Yes, well, the rugby player I watched was fullback. His tactical strengths were position and defence. The fullback's position was good, however, but because he was always in the right place at like the right time, which resulted in him catching a high percentage of high balls. The perfect model for this would be Ben Foden, who plays fullback for England. He's always in the right place at the right time, and like I said, he always catches all the balls.
Could you give me any more examples of when they're in the right position in a game at all?
Yeah, so when there's the line-up, the number 10s lining up to kick it from their 22, he'd be towards the edge. So if they kick it that way, he can then catch it or whatever. Another tactical strength would be his knowledge of set moves. He had good knowledge of the set moves and what was going on, and he could execute them. A fitness strength would be his speed or pace. Pace is the strength of the fullback, because when he got the ball, he was able to beat his man. He had good acceleration and he often used it. Perfect model for his strength, for his pace would be Brian Habana, who's the South African winger. He's one of the quickest players in the game of rugby and uses this ability to good effect.
Okay.
Another fitness strength would be his stamina. He had very good stamina and got around the pitch very well. His pace and stamina were very, very good and allowed him to get into the right place at the right time, which is key if you're a fullback. Skill strength was passing off his right hand. He was very good off his right hand and quite accurate with all his balls. Another skill strength would be his catching of the high balls. He barely dropped any, and this is good because he's a fullback and that's one of his main jobs, to be able to catch the ball. Another skill strength would be his kicking. His conversion and penalty kicks at goal were very good, and they're all central in between the posts, which helps him gain 11 points for his team. Perfect model for this would be Johnny Wilkinson, who is the or former England fly half. He was one of the most reliable and consistent kickers at goal for his team, and often won games with his boot for club and country. Kicking is quite an open skill, and because there's many environmental influences such as wind and rain can affect where the direction and power of the ball. Also, you have all the pressures of the crowd, and if you're at the elite level, you'd have everyone watching at home as well. Also, it's an internally paced skill because he starts the kick off and he determines how much power he puts into the kick. Teaching points of the kick would be when he places the ball on the kicking tee and points. You place the ball on the kicking tee and point the ball towards the post, and then you mark out your run up to gain power and momentum. An example of a run up would be 5 steps back and then 3 steps to the side. If you're right footed, you'd step towards the left to give you more of an angle, or a better angle. Then you complete your run up and kick the ball in the lower half in the middle so the ball goes straight. This would be an example of Newton's second law, which is basically F equals ma, force equals mass times acceleration. The force would be him kicking the ball, and the mass would be the ball, and the acceleration would be him kicking the ball and it speeding up towards the post. Then move on to his weaknesses. His tactical weaknesses were the timings of his runs. In attack, the timing of his runs were quite poor. I say this because he either overran the ball and dropped it, or he had to slow down, which then caused the attacking momentum to decrease. Also, a perfect model for his timing of runs would be Chris Ashton, who's the England winger. He scores many tries because of his timing of his runs. Another tactical weakness would be his organisation of other players. He seemed to concentrate more on himself than all of his other players, and as a fullback you should have be able to, you can see where everyone is and where the opposition have numbers, and you should be able to tell and have the confidence to then be able to tell your players where to go. Fitness weakness would be strength. When the fullback was playing, he missed a couple of tackles, and in the rucks he was getting pushed backwards. This resulted in his team often losing the ball. Both of these skills relate to strength because this is one of his weaknesses. Strength is a key part in the game of rugby because it means you can, because you need the ability to gain yards and then regain the ball if needs be. Perfect model for strength would be Manu Tuilagi, who plays in the centres for England. He's a very strong player and often gains yards from the centres. Also, he had another fitness weakness he had was his accuracy with his left hand. His passing off his right hand was relatively good, however his passing off his left hand wasn't as strong or as accurate and resulted in him throwing a forward pass. A weakness for skill would be his rucking. He didn't really seem to be getting involved in the rucks, and he didn't seem very confident, or he had like poor technique or strength, which resulted in him not being going into the rucks as well as he should have. Another weakness skill would be his passing off his left hand. He didn't seem to be as confident with his left hand passing than he did with his right-handed passing. Then tackling was another weakness he had, because throughout the game he missed quite a few tackles, and like I said, one of them led to a try. A perfect model for tackling would be Jamie Roberts. Jamie Roberts is the Welsh inside centre, and for where he plays, it's vital for his position to be able to tackle because he's the first line of defence.
You mentioned that his strength is quite a big weakness.
Yeah.
Would you say that his strength is more of a weakness than his technique when you mentioned the rucking, or what would your opinion be?
He has a relatively good technique, however the strength would just be able to help him actually make more of an impact in the rucks.
Okay.
Teaching points, the tackle is also, like the kicking, is quite an open skill because whether you make the tackle or not is down to the opposition's movement, direction and speed and strength. It's also a serial movement skill, so it has a number of discrete elements in the skills that are put together to form the tackle.
Okay.
If I was to teach the tackle, I would use progressive parts. So I'd teach the tackler the fullback, how to all the discrete elements and then link them up together to give him more of a flow in the tackle. To practice a skill, I'd use distributed practice. So the coach, after each tackle, he'd then get a rest, which would allow the coach to give him feedback and to give him feedback. Teaching points of the tackle would be to run in a crouch position towards the opposite player with your hands up, straight back, head up, so you can move your feet if you need to. Then aim at his thighs, drive with your legs and make a firm contact with your shoulders onto his thighs. Keep your head to the side of his thighs and then same leg, same shoulder. Wrap your arms around his body to form the wrapper still. With the momentum of the opposition player, hold tightly until he falls onto the ground. Finally get to your feet as quickly as possible to then try and regain the ball. The fullback's main weakness, which I'll be prioritising, is the fullback's strength, because it will help his tackling, rucking and help break the game line for his team. So the main goal is to improve his upper body strength, and to improve his upper body strength in his 1 rep max by 10%. The action plan will last for 8 weeks, and as the action plan is to do with strength, it will be all in the gym. He will do 3 to 4 sessions a week on top of his weekly competitive situation. So, an example, week 1 to 4 would be he'll have 3 sessions, 3 rest days, and then a match on the Saturday. And then week 5 to 8 he will have 4 sessions a week, and then 2 rest days and a match on Saturday. Each session will take an hour and a half to complete, sessions aim not only to improve his upper body strength but to help the player's fitness as well. The warm-up will take 15 minutes and will consist of 10 minutes running and 50 sit-ups, press-ups to warm up your core and upper body. The warm-up is important because vasodilation of muscle arterioles increases the blood flow to delivery to working muscles, and also increase the body's temperature, which will allow the body to decrease blood viscosity, which is the resistance to blood flow, therefore preventing injury and improving performance. Then we'll move on to the more vigorous part of this session, which is there's 4 parts to it: dumbbells, no weights, bars and cardio. With the dumbbells he will do 3 sets of 6 reps with no rest between each exercise, but like a minute rest after each set. Exercises in this section include bicep curls, which work on his bicep and tricep brachii, shoulder shrugs, which work on his deltoids and pectoralis major, side laterals, which work on his trapezius, deltoids and latimus dorsi, one arm row, which works on his tricep and bicep brachii, deltoids, pectoralis major and latimus dorsi. After the dumbbells comes the no weight section, where we do 30 reps of each session and add 10 reps onto each exercise every session. This will help to build up these exercises in the section include tricep dips, which will work on his tricep brachii, press ups, which there's 6 types which I'd like him to do, which are dynamic, wide, narrow clap, 4 seconds and normal. These will help his bicep and tricep brachii and also help his agility. Sit-ups, there's 4 types, which are normal, crunches, cycling and leg raise, which will help his rectus abdomens. Then the bar section, which will consist of 3 sets of 6 reps, which should be slowly done. Exercises in this section include deadlift, which works your trapezius and latimus dorsi, the bench press, which works on your tricep and bicep brachii, pectoralis major and your deltoids. Then move on to your cardio section, which involves rowing for 5 minutes and seeing how far you can go in those 5 minutes, which will help improve his fitness as well. This exercise works mostly on your deltoids, your bicep brachii, tricep brachii, your pectoralis major and your rectus abdomens. Each of the 4 sessions take 15 minutes to complete. Finally, we'll then have an active cool down for 15 minutes. An active cool down is important because it maintains respiratory and muscle pumps, which prevent blood pooling in the veins and maintains venous return. It also maintains blood flow to supply oxygen, maintaining blood pressure. After the session, I'll get the player to take ergogenic aids such as protein shakes, which will help repair muscle tissues and help improve muscle growth. I'll get him to drink plenty of water to keep him hydrated and replace body fluids he may have lost due to sweating. And also I'd get him to drink isotonic drinks such as Lucozade Sport to help maintain hydration as well. He should also carry on eating healthily, having a healthy balanced diet, but eating a higher percentage of carbohydrates and proteins to give him more energy and to help build muscle. So overall, the muscles he is working / need improving are his trapezius, pectoralis major, deltoids, latimus dorsi, rectus abdomens, bicep brachii and tricep brachii. In the first training session, I will test the fullback's 1 rep max in every exercise, so which starts as like a benchmark. From there, I'll then be able to calculate the right weight he needs and what he should be working at. He should be working at 80% of his 1 rep max, and every 2 weeks I will be testing his 1 rep max so we can track his progression and then increase the weight each week. Finally, at the end of the 8 weeks, there'll be a final test of his 1 rep max in every exercise to see how much progression has been made overall. As well as if you are looking to get your child into rugby and between the ages of 5 to 10,
can I just stop you there for a second? You mentioned lots of different exercises.
Yeah.
Do you do the same exercises for the whole programme?
I do the same exercise for the whole programme.
Okay.
And so you know how much progression is being made.
Okay. All right. If you'd like to go on to how You know, if you're a 7-year-old, how do you get into your sport? Why would we do your sport?
Yeah, if you're between like a 7-year-old, you could start by going to rugby, which shows you teaches you how to all the fundamental skills. And then once you've learned those and you're confident with those, you can then join a club. There are over 40 clubs in Hertfordshire and Essex. A few examples would be Bishop Stortford, Hertford, Saffron Walden, Harlow and Letchworth. These, between the ages of 5 to 10, you'd be in the cognitive stage of learning, which is the first stage of learning. And at this stage you have a lot of information processing, and the learner is trying to create a mental image to them, so they can then recreate what they've seen. The type of guidance I would use would be visual, because they can then watch the skill being done, and I would also, for some skills, I would use mechanical and manual guidance, so you could use equipment to help impact the effectiveness of learning and alter their technique with the manual side to help improve the flow of the skill. This would be foundation level if it was to be put on the sports development pyramid. If you're aged between 11 to 16, you start to learn how to play rugby or contact rugby at secondary school. You can carry on playing for your club, and if you're good enough you can then be selected to play for county, which you'd be selected by one of your coaches, and then you'd have to go through a whole series of trials. And then if you're impressive at county, you could then be selected or scouted by an academy, and in Hertfordshire the academy's mainly Saracens. Can I get a drink of water?
Yeah, have you got one there? Yeah, no worries. You've been talking for a long time, so yeah. Just leave it on the desk and you can have it. You can use it again if you want.
Yeah, and then if you're aged between 17 and 19, you carry on playing for your club and school and academy and county, and if you're impressed at county, you can then be selected for your region. In Hertfordshire it'd be South East region. Also you can get selected for England player development if you've excelled at rugby and you've been selected. Between the ages of 11 to 19 you'd be in the associative phase of learning, and if you were to be placed in the sports development pyramid you'd be on the performance level. You'd be on the performance level because you are a skilled performer who plays in a highly competitive situation, and you are committed and you play for district or county, and you have involvement in those sorts of things. The associative phase of learning is the second phase, and it's normally longer than the cognitive because you're still learning and trying to eliminate all the mistakes you might have made in the cognitive phase. In the associative phase you learn all the fundamentals, there's hardly any errors, and you mastered them and become more consistent, all the skills. The learner can also develop kinesthetic feedback in detecting some of their errors, so it's more internal, so they know that they've done it wrong, and then they can then change the technique they do. If you're aged 19 or above, you can play at an elite level, like a professional club, and if you've been impressive at your club, you'd be selected for England. This is when you're at the top of the sports development, which is excellence. You are highly skilled as an elite performer. You receive high levels of coaching and sports science. They may also be paid as a professional. They would also be at the autonomous stage of learning because little information processing is made and there are barely any mistakes or errors. They would receive more verbal feedback than any other because they are skilled enough to understand and know the skill and also the details and techniques of the skill. Possible factors to participation could be finding a local club. However, that's not really a factor in Hertfordshire or Essex because there's over 40. Some of the equipment can be quite expensive, such as boots and gum shields, which are protective. You also have you need the confidence to want to go and play the sport, and you have to have the ability to have the confidence to then play for the club or join a club. Also, you might not be able to get to the club due to transport reasons, so the club might be in the middle of nowhere and you don't have a car. For minorities, there's no prejudice to non-white people in rugby like there is in certain other sports. It doesn't really matter who you are, as long as you have the ability and you're committed. In rugby, there's no problems to youngsters getting involved. As I said, there's initiatives such as Rugby Bugs. Also, however, if you're elder, it might be harder to play because there are occasionally veteran teams and charity games, but it's not really a regular occurrence. Depending on the level of disability you have, you can still participate in rugby, and at some clubs they have competitive leagues and matches where you can participate. If you are a woman trying to get into the sport, there are quite a few teams, women teams, and there's one in for Bishop Stortford, and England have a very successful women's team. Health and fitness benefits would be, rugby has many health and fitness benefits. Social benefits would include the ability to make new friendships. It is a stress relief. It improves skills such as communication, leadership and teamwork, which help in later life when you're trying to find a job. It also gives you confidence, which I personally think is one of the main social benefits, because confidence is key in rugby. Physically, rugby helps with your strength, your speed and agility, your ball handling and kicking skills, so your coordination, which could help transfer of learning for other skills and sports. Health-wise, it increases your bone density, which decreases your chances of getting osteoporosis. It helps you decrease the chances of you becoming obese and increase your hypertrophy, which is the increase in size of heart muscle wall. This in turn increases your stroke volume, which means more blood is pumped around the body each beat. It also gives you bradycardia, which means the performer has a resting heart rate below 60 beats per minute, which means your heart is more effective.
Great. Thank you very much, Adam.